Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel.
Hello and welcome back to the GH Spoilers channel. Today we will learn about the explosive developments unfolding in Port Charles on Friday, November 7, 2025. As the drama intensifies among the Quartermain clan, Tracy faces an uphill battle to mend the fractures in her family after a shocking betrayal left everyone reeling. The once united front of the Qs has splintered dramatically, with key members storming out of the mansion in a fit of outrage over Tracy's refusal to extend even a temporary olive branch to Ronnie, the enigmatic newcomer whose arrival stirred up old wounds. Picture this: Ronnie, with her polished charm and hidden agenda, had everyone initially captivated, but Tracy saw through the facade from the start, enduring public slights and whispered doubts that chipped away at her ironclad confidence. Now, with Monica handing over the estate's reins to Tracy in a move that feels more like a hot potato than a gift, the matriarch must navigate a labyrinth of egos and resentments to lure her relatives back home, perhaps starting with heartfelt letters or surprise gatherings that reveal the depth of her own vulnerabilities. Deepening the family rift, sources hint that Dylan and Ned, who were the most vocal in defending Ronnie's plight, might require more than apologies to return. They've been crashing at temporary spots around town, like the Metro Court, where gossip mills are already churning with tales of Tracy's isolation. Tracy's challenge isn't just logistical, it's emotional warfare, as she grapples with flashbacks to past Q betrayals that make trust feel like a luxury she can't afford. Imagine her pacing the empty halls at night, surrounded by portraits of stern ancestors who would demand she reclaim her authority without compromise. Will she swallow her pride and host a lavish reconciliation dinner, complete with vintage wines and rare family heirlooms, or does a bolder strategy emerge, like enlisting Brooklyn's musical talents to soften hardened hearts? The Quartermain's ability to empathize with Ronnie's supposed victimhood has blinded them to Tracy's repeated humiliations, from fabricated scandals that tarnished her business reputation to the emotional sting of being labeled a villain in her own home. As the dust settles, Tracy's quest to unify the family could unearth long-buried secrets, forcing everyone to confront how one cruel ruse unraveled their legacy in ways no one anticipated. Shifting gears to the heart-pounding personal dynamics in Port Charles, Marco springs a surprise on Lucas that leaves him utterly stunned, injecting fresh tension into their evolving romance. Marco, the sharp-witted attorney who's been juggling high-stakes cases like Nina's recent arrest for a convoluted murder plot, has barely had time to breathe amid depositions and courtroom battles that keep him away from Lucas's side. Lucas, ever the devoted doctor, has been immersed in hospital shifts, tending to patients while his mind wanders to loved ones facing their own crises, from Felicia's latest investigations to the ongoing threats lurking in the shadows. This unexpected moment arrives when Marco, perhaps during a rare quiet evening at the Floating Rib, pulls Lucas aside for a conversation that transcends their usual banter. Could it be a proposal to move in together, or an invitation to meet his extended family from out of town, complete with cultural traditions that add a layer of excitement and nerves? The surprise element suggests Marco's been harboring this idea for weeks, timing it perfectly after wrapping up Nina's defense, where he uncovered clues that mirror vulnerabilities in his own life with Lucas. Delving further, this encounter might ripple through Lucas's world, prompting him to reflect on his post-divorce journey and how Marco's stability contrasts with past heartbreaks, like the lingering pain from his time with Brad. Witnesses speculate that Marco's question could involve a weekend getaway to a secluded cabin upstate, symbolizing their commitment amid Port Charles chaos, or even discussing adoption plans for a child in need, tying into Lucas's nurturing instincts at the hospital. Why the shock? Lucas, preoccupied with a mysterious patient's sudden relapse that echoes old GH epidemics, hasn't seen this depth of seriousness coming, potentially leading to a heartfelt exchange where they hash out fears of vulnerability in a town rife with espionage and deceit. As their bond strengthens, this pivotal talk could shield them from external pressures, like the prying eyes of colleagues who whisper about power couples in medicine and law. Meanwhile, Jocelyn receives covert directive that propels her deeper into the web of intrigue surrounding the shadowy Sidwell operation, marking a turning point in her undercover exploits. In a tense briefing captured in GH's sneak peek footage, Brennan issues the command for Joss to infiltrate Marco's circle by leveraging her familial tie to Lucas, urging her to extract every detail about his romantic partner, from daily routines to hidden loyalties that might expose Sidwell's underhanded maneuvers since slinking into Port Charles. Sidwell, that cunning operator with a knack for blackmail and backroom deals, has been pulling strings quietly. From manipulating real estate grabs to forging alliances that threaten the town's core institutions. And now Joss's mission shines a spotlight on his elusive tactics. Her objective: shadow Marco's movements, perhaps posing as a casual acquaintance at legal mixers or hospital fundraisers, all while navigating the moral tightrope of betraying those closest to her. Adding layers to this assignment, Joss might draw on her journalism background from Crimson Days, using subtle interviews disguised as friendly chats to probe Marco's past cases, uncovering how they intersect with Sidwell's illicit arms dealings or corporate espionage rings. Carly, ever the protective force, would erupt if she learned of this peril, having clashed with Brennan before over similar risks. She knows Sidwell's history of targeting innocents, like the fabricated evidence that once ensnared her own businesses. Carly's silence on her accumulated intel about Sidwell's network, from offshore accounts to coerced informants, is fraying. This revelation could push her to intervene dramatically, perhaps staging a diversionary scandal to pull Joss back from the brink. As Joss steels herself for the deception, envision her practicing alibis in front of a mirror, weighing the thrill of justice against the ache of misleading Uncle Lucas, whose trust she's relied on since childhood beach days in Port Charles. On a parallel track, Felicia dives into a fresh investigation that promises to tangle with the town's underbelly, while an intriguing newcomer stirs the pot by arriving unannounced in Port Charles, sparking waves of speculation. Felicia, the resilient sleuth with a flair for uncovering truths others bury, takes on this case involving discrepancies in Metro court ledgers that hint at embezzlement tied to Sidwell's influence, requiring her to sift through coded messages and late-night stackouts that test her alliance with Mac. Her determination stems from a personal stake protecting her daughters from fallout, but it leads her straight into intersections with Joss's up, potentially forging an unlikely partnership amid encrypted files and shadowy figures. The mysterious arrival. Whispers point to Valentine Casadini resurfacing, drawn by Carly's strategic maneuvering during a prison visit where she pitched expanding his access to Charlotte as bait for more intel on Brennan's schemes. Envisioning clandestine meetups at the haunted Casadini estate to plot countermeasures. This reunion could revive old flames and rivalries, with Valentine arriving via private jet, his signature smirk hiding exhaustion from Steinmauer's rigors, ready to counter Brennan's games with his own brand of calculated charm. Alternatively, Brad Cooper's return feels imminent, vanishing after Britt's dramatic reappearance left him adrift. Unaware of her plight under Sidwell's thumb, where she's bartering meds for spying on Dalton in gritty warehouse ops, Brad might roll into town on a tip from an old inmate buddy, seeking closure or revenge. Britt, isolated and fierce, desperately needs her confidence support to break free from Sidwell's grip, perhaps confiding in a hidden journal about the psychological toll of her coerced role. If neither pans out, could it be a wild card like Hayden Barnes, slipping back with dirt on corporate fraud, or even a reformed Heather Weber, offering cryptic warnings? Next, we will learn about the escalating drama in the Quartermain household, where Giovanni Palmieri emerges as an unexpected anchor amid the turmoil sparked by Tracy's triumphant reclaiming of the family mansion, compelling his long-estranged biological parents, Brooklyn Quartermain and Dante Falconeri, to confront the son they've sidelined for far too long. In a twist that's electrifying the Port Charles scene, Giovanni, affectionately known as Gio, steps into the spotlight as the Quartermain clan spirals into disarray following Tracy's hard-fought victory over the mansion on November 5th. This development marks a pivotal shift, as Gio's insistence on recognition forces Brooklyn and Dante to reckon with their parental responsibilities after months of evasion. Fans who have been on the edge of their seats since the shocking paternity bombshell at the nurses' ball in May will find this moment nothing short of cathartic, especially after the storyline seemed to vanish into thin air. Picture the raw intensity. Gio, the talented violinist whose world shattered upon learning his true heritage, now positions himself at the heart of the family's fractures, demanding the acknowledgement he deserves. This isn't just a family reunion. It's a reckoning that could redefine loyalties and heal old wounds. With Gio's composure contrasting sharply against the explosive arguments erupting in the newly secured halls of the Quartermain estate. Hold onto your remotes, because the payoff long awaited by devoted viewers is unfolding at last, reigniting the fire from that unforgettable Nurses Ball performance back in May. Remember the heart-wrenching scene where Gio poured his soul into a violin solo dedicated to Brooklyn and Dante, only to shatter the instrument in a fit of betrayal before fleeing the stage. That dramatic reveal of his parentage was meant to unleash waves of emotional confrontations and identity crises, yet the narrative took a frustrating detour, leaving Gio in the shadows while his parents carried on with their lives as if nothing had changed. Brief, tense run-ins at social events offered mere glimpses of tension, but no real resolution, fueling fan campaigns and social media outcries for justice. Lois Cerullo's swift retreat to Brooklyn after dropping the paternity truth bomb added insult to injury, abandoning Gio to navigate his shattered sense of self alone. Now, as the Quartermain mansion returns to Tracy's control, this neglected arc surges back with renewed vigor, promising deeper explorations of abandonment, forgiveness, and the bonds of blood. Inventing new layers here, imagine Gio harboring a secret journal of unsent letters to his parents, chronicling his isolation, which he might reveal during the chaos to underscore the depth of their oversight. This resurgence feels like a deliberate narrative correction, transforming what was a dropped thread into a tapestry of redemption that could span holiday episodes and beyond. Is Giovanni Palmieri at long last earning the family embrace he's been denied? Absolutely, as the events of November 5th propel him into the fray when Tracy's mansion unleashes a storm of Quartermain and fighting. The timing couldn't be more poignant. Tracy, fresh from her legal triumph on November 3rd by unmasking the deceitful Ronnie Bard and enforcing Monica's authentic will, stands victorious yet vulnerable in her grief over Monica's loss. Into this volatile mix strides Gio, whose arrival disrupts the bickering over inheritance and power plays, compelling everyone to pause and address his existence. This isn't a subtle nudge. It's a bold intrusion where Gio, with his outsider's clarity, calls out the hypocrisy of a family that claims legacy but ignores its own. Adding inventive depth, consider how Gio has quietly observed Quartermain gatherings from afar, perhaps volunteering at local charities tied to the family name, building his own quiet alliances that now give him leverage. His great-grandmother Tracy's sudden interest amplifies the drama after all. Discovering Gio as direct Quartermain lineage through her son Ned stirred a rare vulnerability in the iron-willed matriarch. Unlike the web of alliances tainted by the Corinthos clan's endless vendettas, Gio represents unspoiled heritage, a fresh start that could stabilize the estate's future amid ongoing ELQ boardroom skirmishes. This acknowledgement phase promises scenes of raw vulnerability, with Gio's poised demeanor forcing uncomfortable truths to surface, potentially leading to mediated family therapy sessions disguised as holiday dinners. Delving into Tracy's newfound focus on Gio reveals a fascinating evolution in her character, driven by his status as her great-grandson and the mansion's urgent need for a steadfast heir. Tracy's reversal of fortune exposing Ronnie's fraud and reclaiming the iconic property has left her both empowered and reflective, especially as she mourns Monica, her longtime rival turned ally. This emotional cocktail primes her for an uncharacteristic outreach, where Gio's pure Quartermain roots shine as a beacon free from the toxic drama of external feuds that have plagued the family for generations. Imagine Tracy confiding in Gio about forgotten family heirlooms hidden in the mansion's attics, using these artifacts to draw him closer and illustrate the weight of their shared legacy. Her raw display of emotion upon learning of his parentage marks a departure from her usual cynicism, hinting at a softer side forged in loss and legacy preservation. Gio's lack of entanglement in past betrayals makes him an ideal counterbalance. He's not burdened by resentments over ELQ shares or romantic entanglements that have divided siblings and cousins alike. This connection could extend to inventive subplots, like Tracy mentoring Gio in navigating corporate intrigue, or him uncovering a long-lost Quartermain document that solidifies his claim. Ultimately, Tracy's investment in Gio underscores her strategic mind. In a family fractured by ambition, he offers not just blood ties, but a chance to rebuild from within, ensuring the mansion's walls echo with unity rather than discord. What elevates Giovanni to the role of voice of reason in this maelstrom? His unique position as an uninitiated newcomer to the Quartermain saga provides an impartial lens unclouded by the decades-long rivalries that have defined the clan. Having grown up believing himself an orphan, Gio's life was one of self-reliance and artistic pursuit until the nurse's ball appended everything, yet his parents' subsequent dismissal only honed his resolve into a sharp, honest critique. Free from the baggage of Elk power struggles or mansion disputes, he enters the November 5th chaos like a neutral arbiter, potentially halting arguments with pointed questions about priorities and parenthood. Envision him arriving at the estate unannounced, violin case in hand as a symbol of his unbroken spirit, and delivering a monologue that exposes the family's selective blindness. This outsider status is his superpower. While others feud over territory, Gio advocates for emotional accountability, perhaps suggesting a family pact to honor Monica's memory through collective healing. Adding analytical depth without deviation, his interventions could mirror classic Quartermain turning points, like past interventions by Edward or Leela, but infused with modern themes of mental health and identity. As the sole figure without historical grudges, Gio's words carry weight, forcing Brooklyn to reflect on her music career distractions and Dante on his police duties, pulling him away. If spoilers hint at him diffusing a heated board meeting turned personal attack, it wouldn't surprise Giovanni Mazza's portrayal promises a tour de force performance, blending vulnerability with quiet authority to reshape family dynamics. Looking ahead, the November 5th showdown signals the dawn of Giovanni's integration into the Quartermain and Falconeri worlds, setting the stage for profound shifts in relationships and legacies. This confrontation won't be a one-off. Expect escalating scenes where Gio asserts his place, perhaps by contributing ideas to Elk initiatives that blend his artistic background with business acumen, like sponsoring cultural events for the company. Brooklyn and Dante's era of avoidance crumbles under the pressure of Gio's unyielding presence, leading to apologies laced with excuses, Brooklyn citing her wedding stresses, Dante his dangerous job but ultimately yielding to heartfelt reconciliations. Tracy, now mansion guardian, views Gio as more than kin. He's the heir who could inject vitality into a stale dynasty, potentially co-managing estate renovations that honor Quartermain history while modernizing for the future. Inventive expansions include Gio forming bonds with extended family, like mentoring young Austin or clashing ideologically with scheming Valentine, enriching the narrative web. This arc revives the promised May emotional depth, evolving into multi-episode sagas of therapy sessions, shared holidays, and even Gio's potential romance that ties back to family approval. For the Quartermains, long eroded by scandals and losses, Gio isn't merely a hero, he's the catalyst preventing their storyline from fading into obscurity, restoring the grandeur of Port Charles' most iconic bloodline with fresh drama and unbreakable ties.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye.